just in case. Alrighty, so things happen when we make decisions. So careful what decisions you make. So we talked at the mob at our team meeting about taking the monolith migrations and removing them from the monolith, or taking the OS database migrations, removing them from the monolith and putting them into a SQL-based migration tool, database migration and database object management system in a project in metaphase, like FormForge does with their DB. And some of the logic behind that is, I hate Rails. No, is that more and more often, when we touch the Gemini project, it's to update processing code. It's not to do new development, and it's not to do database changes. Of course, not zero or infinity, but more and more often. And more often, we're spinning up two PRs, a mitosis PR and a Gemini PR, because we change something for the front end, right? And so why don't we just move the mitosis database migration tool into metaphase so that it can be deployed with mitosis, rather than separately. And so there's a few implications. So just I made a graph. It was in the thing. It's in the calendar. But so that means when we deploy from the Gemini code base, it will only deploy the monolith, and the monolith will link to the staging database for its backend. When we deploy mitosis, it will deploy mitosis and playwright, and that will connect to the staging environment for its backend. And then if you do have a database change, you're gonna basically deploy the mytosysdb project. So in your deployment, there will be a naming scheme. So what we do on the FormForge side is it's your initials, FormForge and your thing. So it'd be like ps/mytosysdb/ my fun new idea for user icons or whatever. And so when we deploy that one, we're actually just going to deploy everything. And you can optionally name a monolith PR in case you also have some backend changes to include, and it'll spin up that PR. Optionally, just as we can right now with env test, you'll be able to optionally, for Gemini and mitosis deploy, say, oh, I do actually have like some GraphQL changes or whatever. I do have a Gemini deploy or a Gemini PR to connect to. And so you'll still be able to connect. If you're just doing a Gemini deploy or a mitosis deploy, you'll still be able to connect them to each other so that the menus work and so that it accesses the right server classes and stuff. This is just here for confusion reasons. Thoughts, questions, comments, fears, delights?
Are we using the environment test file to link them all together still, or is it literally just we name them right?
No, it'll be the same with the environment test file. It might be a little different. I was hoping we could get, because the two environment test files work a little bit differently. So I was hoping we could just get them to work the same since we're in here. And then it'll be the same here. So if you do a mytosysdb deploy and you've got a Gemini deploy that you want to connect to, you'll just use the env test file to say, oh, and it's this existing Gemini deploy. Thanks to Laura, the confusing terror of lines that was here before has been simplified.
Will we see any kind of like gains, like faster builds because of this, or
Well, yeah.
just
So right
curious?
now, every time you deploy the monolith, you deploy the
Hmm.
database, which is what takes almost all of the time.
Yeah.
So if you're just deploying Gemini for a code change, it should spin up much faster. Right,
Yeah.
Laura?
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right. It takes around like 20 to 30 minutes just to copy the database, and it takes longer for the full database.
Oh wow, I'm stoked now.
And so what this gets us is we're only going to spend that 20 to 30 minutes when we actually need the data instead of just whenever we happen to touch this code base.
Wow, feels like we should have been doing something like this all along.
I know. That was when I had that idea before when I was planning the slideshow for our meeting. I was like, wow, it seems really dumb of me not to have thought of this like 2 years ago.
Hey, it's always better late than never. Wow. I did
I
not
mean,
realize that was the bulk of time.
actually, you kind of hinted it a couple years ago when you were like, "Yes, can we live in SQL land?" We were all like, "No, it's
Yeah,
not."
I was trying to go there then, but I was trying to go there with a more complicated thing, and this would have been a much more approachable thing. The FormForge DB project has examples of migrations. So just everything happens in SQL, and we write idempotent SQL so that it can be executed multiple times. So that way, if you're running a migration, if you're working on a migration, we don't have to write the down for a migration because otherwise we'd have to write every migration twice. This is specific to the project, not the structure, but um, and we senior engineers had a talk and we were like, okay, how many times in your career have you run a down migration on production? And everybody said never. And I'm like, right. Because once it's in production, you're not going to like roll back and like do down migrations back. No, you're just going to apply a migration to fix the thing you broke, right? Or if the migration doesn't run, you're just going to delete it and replace it. So what's the point of writing all that extra? And the benefit of Rails is that most kinds of migrations, it can figure out the down to the up, and so you kind of take care of it. And so what this gets us is we don't have to remember the arcane Rails ORM language for managing databases. We can just use SQL, which it would be great if we were all better at anyway and had more chance to practice with. And then we only have to write the ups. And so if you're working on something, so an example of an idempotent statement is saying like alter table users add column funny hats, right? That's not idempotent because if you run that once and then you run it again, it will fail because funny hats already exists on the users table because you just made it. On the other hand, if you say alter table users add column funny hats if not exists, then it'll be fine. Um, There's the project is up now. I basically just cribbed the FormForge project, the FormForge DB project, and I added a little bit more complexity and a bunch of documentation. So there's examples, hopefully for everything in there. How to do a trigger, how to name triggers, how to, and there's a shell script to run to. So there, we'll have it'll be just like the Gemini project is there's folders for all of the different database objects. So views, procedures, functions, triggers, seeds, and then there's a custom folder. Um, and so you know how some of the seeds are like you have to do wacky stuff and you can't let like the thing that helps you make the migration, you can't let it do it because this is a weird one and you have to do things and it's weird. So that stuff goes in the custom folder now. And what all of those shell scripts do is they make a new migration, they create the structure inside the down migration, and then they take your object code and they put it in the middle of it. So basically, all you have to write ever again, basically, is you just go update the database object file. So like, you know, view underscore fees.sql. You update that, and then you go to command line, say /make view.sh, give it the name of your view, and it generates a migration file for you that updates your view per that existing file. And then you just say yarn migrate to test it, and then you're good to go. That was a lot.
What would be the difference between just doing yarn new and making a migration and then the custom one? Like, do you have different
Yarn new
uses
just creates a
intended?
blank file. Make custom takes your custom SQL and does a yarn new and puts your custom SQL in there for you, so you don't have to copy and paste it.
Okay. I was wondering that yesterday, but like not enough to write it on the PR.
What are you
Uh,
doing?
any structural concerns? But I don't want to learn SQL.
I had a lot of fun playing with this thing yesterday. I probably spent more time playing with it than I should have, but it was a lot of fun to mess with, and um,
You mean
it took.
you thoroughly dev QA'd it.
Oh
That's
yeah,
what
I
you were trying to
thoroughly
say.
dev QA'd it. Yeah, it took me a minute. Then I realized like I'm literally just writing raw SQL into those files, and like I shed a little tear of joy, and then started playing with it even more. So yeah, I think it might seem like a lot for anyone who hasn't messed with this yet, but once you get into it, it's super simple, and he's got some really good readmes in there. Just read them thoroughly. Don't like read half of it and then assume you have it figured out like I did, because you will go back and finish reading it. So just read it the first time, do yourself a favor, and then you'll be good to go.
And the shell scripts, if you don't, a couple of them have a second parameter. Like when you're seeding, it wants to know what seed file you're using. So if you don't pass the seed file, it's just going to complain at you and show you the syntax, like any shell script. So they're built to be fairly dowdy.
Is
Alrighty.
this
Oh, go ahead.
is this ready to use now? Are we going to use this for current tickets?
Well, Laura is, as it turns out, bound by time and space and is not, in fact, a divine being. So she will need time to rewrite the build scripts. And so my plan is so we got it reviewed and QA'd, I think. And so I'm going to just merge the project so it's there. And then when Laura gives us the, okay, it's ready, um, I'm gonna, I'm gonna, I'm gonna bug everybody to, basically you're gonna get like a 24-hour warning, like if you have a PR in progress where you're updating the database, either abandon it or you're gonna have to redo it, or you're gonna have to merge it quick. So I'll give a 24-hour notice, and then at that drop dead date, I'm gonna take all of the contents of like the views directory and the triggers directory and the functions directory and all that, and I'm gonna copy them over into mytosysdb, and then I'm going to delete that directory in Gemini.
Yeah, getting that, go after that fig.
Get it?
Get it.
I may be slightly cowardly and leave that directory there for a week just in case.
Mhm.
Or I might, as I often do when I go and clean out those directories, I might back them up on my hard drive. But, you know.
Don't forget to post it in the dead code channel.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I forget about that channel. I love that channel. I should star that channel. I should go there to comfort me in dark times. Laura, do you have any concerns or?
No, I think everything lines up pretty well. Yeah, it's going to be the same structure as FormForge DB, so I don't have any concerns.
So it's sort of no photocopy territory. Awesome. Alrighty. Um, yeah. So then, we're kind of on the way to like aligning the two sets of projects where, and so what I'm seeing and I want to invite you to kind of look at is mitosis is our presentation layer, Gemini is our service layer, and then we also have a database layer, right? just like FormForge doesn't, FormForge has the FormForge front end. It has a Lambda service layer and it has a database layer. So our projects are starting to align. Now there's still some front end shenaniganery we have to handle because the monolith, at least for now, still has some pages in it. But obviously we are all have been taking aim at those things. All righty. Well, thanks for being here. I'm going to stop sharing and stop the recording.